Episode 20 is the moment this season stops feeling safe.
Everything changes because it's finally time for Casa Amor.
Up until now, people could still pretend their couples were solid, still pretend the villa had some kind of emotional order, still act like whatever they had built was strong enough to survive the usual flirting, the usual jealousy, the usual back and forth. But the second Casa Amor enters the picture, all of that changes. And this intro makes that clear immediately.
Lana. And I'm not gonna lie, I love a man that knows how to keep up. So hopefully these boys came ready.
The energy is different from the very first line. This is not framed like a normal episode, not even a little bit. This is framed like a rupture, like the part of the season where everything people have been saying gets tested against what they actually do. And that is why this teaser is way bigger than it looks. Because on the surface, it is quick. The boys head out, there is hype, the new girls arrive, everybody reacts, and the episode ends by asking whose heads will turn and who will stay loyal. Simple. But in Love Island terms, that is basically the most dangerous sentence in the entire format. Whose heads turn and who stays loyal. That is the real dividing line. Everything before that is set up. Everything after that is consequences. And honestly, the boys are already moving like trouble. The second they hear it is time to go, the excitement jumps off the screen. Let's go. I'm so excited. Ready to meet some girls, mate? I wonder when they're coming. That is not calm energy. That is not disciplined energy. That is not the energy of men who are trying to stay focused on what they already have. That is curiosity mixed with adrenaline, and Casa Amor feeds on exactly that. It preys on people who are already halfway mentally checked out the moment the possibility of something new appears. And Draco especially feels like he got a little too excited way too fast. That kind of energy always matters, because with Casa Amor, it is not just about whether someone eventually turns, it is about how easily they light up at the idea of turning. The audience clocks that instantly. The second a guy looks a little too thrilled before he has even spoken to anybody, suspicion is already there. It makes you start looking at everything differently. It makes every smile look suspicious, every compliment sound heavier, every "I'm just getting to know people" line feel like an excuse waiting to happen. That is what makes this twist so brutal. Casa Amor does not create weakness. It reveals it. And the girls they bring in are not random at all. This is actually a very smart lineup, because each one comes in with a distinct kind of threat. They are not all doing the same thing. They are not all bringing the same energy. Each intro tells you what kind of chaos could happen, what kind of guy might fold, and what kind of storyline could come out of this. Passiona is the first one in, and instantly she gives off danger in the most interesting way. She says she is really hoping to find love, which sounds sweet at first, almost sincere, almost innocent. But then she adds, "If that means getting messy, I don't mind." That one line changes everything, because now she is not just a girl walking in open-hearted. She is a girl who has already made peace with the fallout. She has already decided that if a connection is there, she is not going to let existing relationships stop her from exploring it. That is exactly the kind of energy that starts real drama, because it does not need to be loud to be disruptive. In fact, sometimes the most dangerous Casa Amor girl is not the one making the biggest entrance. It is the one who can justify every move as honest, real, and necessary. And that is why Passiona feels like guaranteed drama, not fake drama, not random drama, real emotional mess. The kind where one boy starts off saying he is just curious, then suddenly he is opening up more than he ever has before, and now everybody is questioning whether his original couple was ever really that deep. Passiona feels like she is going to be the girl who makes someone think they are following their heart, when really, they are walking straight into the messiest version of the season. She has that exact combination that causes problems in this format. She sounds warm enough to feel approachable, but bold enough to cross lines without hesitating. And once somebody like that gets one-on-one time with a guy who is already a little restless, a little flattered, a little bored, or a little too in love with being wanted, the damage can happen fast. She does not even have to come in trying to destroy anything. She just has to be willing to go where the chemistry goes. That alone is enough. Then Lemira walks in, and immediately the tone shifts, because Lemira knows exactly what image she is projecting. I might look sweet, but I've definitely got a sharp side. So if these boys want to play, I can play too. That is not passive. That is not soft. That is not somebody waiting to be chosen. That is somebody who understands the game and is perfectly comfortable playing it. And if there is one bombshell here who feels like the biggest player, it is absolutely Lemira. She feels dangerous in a different way than Passiona. Passiona feels like emotional chaos. Lemira feels like strategic chaos. Passiona might pull a guy in because she makes him feel something. Lemira might pull a guy in because she knows exactly how to talk to him, exactly how to challenge him, exactly how to make him feel like he is in control while she is actually setting the pace. There is edge in her intro, confidence, a little bit of warning. She is basically letting the boys know right away that if they try to be slick, she can be slicker, and that is why she stands out so much to me. Casa Amor always gets more interesting when there is at least one bombshell who feels like she sees the structure clearly. Somebody who understands that some of these boys are going to come in acting loyal while still wanting attention, acting respectful while still wanting options, acting careful while secretly hoping to get tempted. Lemira sounds like the one most likely to spot those contradictions instantly. She feels like she can read when a guy is bluffing, when a guy is fronting, when a guy is pretending to be more closed off than he really is. And once a bombshell can do that, she becomes powerful very quickly. What makes her even stronger is that she is not over-explaining herself. She gives just enough, sweet on the surface, sharp underneath. That is a classic reality TV combo. It gives her range. She can flirt, she can challenge, she can tease, she can provoke, she can turn a conversation playful or cutting depending on what she wants. And in Casa Amor, that versatility is lethal. The girls who only bring sweetness can fade. The girls who only bring aggression can burn out. But someone who can switch between charm and edge can dominate the whole twist. Then you get Razielena, and this is where the lineup becomes even more interesting because she is not entering with the same kind of energy at all. She says she loves a man who knows how to keep up, and she hopes these boys came ready. That is such a strong line because it flips the usual dynamic immediately. She is not presenting herself like a bombshell hoping to impress the boys. She is presenting herself like somebody evaluating them. Like the test starts now, and the question is whether any of them are actually on her level. That changes the whole feeling. Razielena gives off pure pace. She feels like movement. She feels like momentum. She feels like somebody who is not going to drag a conversation, not going to babysit a man through his indecision, not going to sit there waiting for somebody to gather the courage to have a personality. She wants a guy who can keep up. That means she is probably going to reveal a lot without even trying. Any boy who comes alive around her is going to expose himself immediately. Any boy who suddenly seems more energetic, more confident, more animated than he has been in his current couple is going to tell on himself just by responding to her. That is why I think Razielena could create one of the strongest chemistry storylines of the twist. Not necessarily the messiest one, but the one that feels the most instantly believable. Because if a guy responds to her, it will not just look like he got distracted by somebody new. It could look like he found a pace that suits him better, and that is way more dangerous than simple attraction. Attraction can be dismissed. Compatibility is harder to ignore. If a boy looks more alive with Razielena than he has looked in days, people are going to start asking whether his original pairing was ever really right for him. And now we have to talk about the moment that changes the emotional temperature of the whole teaser, because Pina Pina returning is massive. The second she says, "That's right, I'm back," the entire twist gets bigger. Because a new girl is one thing. A returning girl is another thing entirely. New girls bring possibility. Returnees bring history. And history is always heavier. History gives everything more meaning. It gives the audience more to project onto. It gives the boys more to think about. It gives the story a sense that something unfinished just reopened. Pina Pina's intro is so effective because it is confident without trying too hard. If you forgot, my name's Pina Pina. That is playful, but it also has attitude. It sounds like she knows she was memorable. Then she says her time in the villa was too short and she is back for more. That is basically the perfect comeback line, because it frames her return as unfinished business. She is not there for a random cameo. She is there because her story was cut off too early, and now she gets another shot. That is catnip for an audience. And it makes total sense why everybody loves Pina Pina and why people are freaking out that she is back. Returnees automatically come in with emotional weight. Even before she has one full conversation, she already has a narrative advantage over the others because her presence means something. It is not just temptation. It is continuation. She does not feel like a side character entering to shake things up for an episode. She feels like somebody whose story still matters. That is what makes her so dangerous in Casa Amor. She can offer more than novelty. She can offer a reopened path. And for any boy who likes the feeling of what if, that can hit even harder than a brand new connection. A returnee carries the fantasy of a missed opportunity. And missed opportunities are incredibly powerful in this format because people love to tell themselves that maybe the timing was wrong before, maybe they never got enough time, maybe the connection could have grown if things had been different. Pina Pina's entire return is built on that exact emotional logic. She also has something else going for her that the others do not have, which is pre-existing affection from the audience. That matters a lot more than people realize. When viewers already love someone, every scene with that person feels bigger. Every possibility feels more exciting. Every romantic option becomes a debate. A fan favorite returnee does not have to do much to become central, because the audience is ready to care before the storyline even fully starts. So if I am looking at this lineup as a full Casa Amor chessboard, Pina Pina may end up being the most important piece. Not because she is guaranteed to cause the most drama, but because her return has the most emotional gravity. Passiona might create the first mess. Lymira might play the game best. Rosealena might spark the strongest chemistry. But Pina Pina feels like the one who could dominate the whole conversation, and the boys are not helping themselves at all. Their reaction is immediate and loud. These girls are hot. Y'all better come my way. Y'all fine as hell. It is pure hype, pure visual excitement, pure loss of composure. Again, that is part of the format, but it matters that the teaser chooses to include that. It wants us to see the boys reacting like this. It wants us to feel how quickly their energy changes the moment fresh attention appears. That is not accidental. That is the show underlining the danger. Because this is the thing with Casa Amor. Loyalty is not really tested when somebody is sad and isolated and missing their partner. Loyalty is tested when somebody feels wanted in a new environment and starts imagining alternate versions of the season where they are even happier, even more desired, even more central than they were before. That is the real temptation, not just attraction, but reinvention, and you can already feel that possibility here. The boys are walking into Casa Amor like it is an upgrade, like it is freedom, like it is a chance to see what else is out there. That is exactly how people get themselves into trouble. They stop thinking about what they built and start thinking about what else they could have. And once that shift happens, even a supposedly strong couple can crack very quickly. That is why this episode feels so loaded, even though we have not seen the fallout yet. You can already sense the fault lines. You can already tell which energies are going to collide. Passiona is the one I would watch if I wanted to know where the first truly messy emotional storyline is going to come from. She has that energy where one seemingly innocent conversation can spiral into a full crisis. She does not sound reckless for no reason. She sounds like somebody who believes a real connection is worth disrupting the peace for. And that mentality is powerful because it gives drama a moral cover. It turns chaos into honesty. And reality show people love doing that. They love saying, "I had to follow what felt right." That is exactly the sort of lane Passiona opens up. Lemira is the one I would watch if I wanted to know which boys are weaker than they think they are. She feels like the bombshell most likely to identify an ego, test it, and pull on it until the whole performance falls apart. The phrase, "If these boys want to play, I can play too," tells me she is not walking in blind. She already expects games. She already expects mixed signals. She already expects some of these guys to act one way and move another. And because of that, she may actually end up controlling more than the boys do. Razielena is the one I would watch if I wanted to know where the cleanest, fastest spark might happen. Her energy is immediate. She is not asking for permission. She is not there to ease into things. She wants somebody who can keep up, which means she is going to pull the most dynamic version out of whoever she clicks with. That can be really revealing because sometimes people do not realize how flat a couple has become until one of them starts glowing in a new conversation. And Pina Pina is the one I would watch because she changes the emotional stakes just by existing in the twist. She is not one more girl in the lineup. She is a returning force. She comes with memory, with anticipation, with a sense that the season owes her more. That alone can shift the whole mood. It makes people curious. It makes people nostalgic. It makes people wonder whether this comeback is going to become the biggest story of the season. And honestly, I think it might. Because a lot of Casa Amor storylines burn bright and fast. They are exciting in the moment. Then they cool off once the main villa consequences kick in. But a returnee can carry momentum beyond the twist itself. If Pina Pina forms a connection, that connection is immediately richer, more discussable, more dramatic, because it is tied to the idea of second chances and unfinished stories. That is the kind of arc people remember. The smartest part of this teaser is that it does not need to show anything major yet. It only needs to show the ingredients, and the ingredients are strong. The boys are overexcited. The girls are distinct. The returnee is important. The cliffhanger is perfect. The show knows exactly what it is doing here. And there is something else I really like about the way this episode is framed. It is not asking who will recouple. Not yet. It is asking whose heads will turn and who will stay loyal. That is a subtler question, and honestly a better one. Because in Love Island, recoupling is only the final decision. The real story is everything that happens before the decision. The glances, the body language, the one conversation that goes on a little too long, the smile that looks a little too easy, the guy who starts saying he is open in a tone that tells you he already made up his mind. That is where the audience really starts judging. And this teaser sets up that judgment beautifully. You can already feel viewers preparing to watch every boy with a microscope. Every little move is going to get analyzed. And that is why the first reactions matter so much. If a guy looks too happy, too eager, too impressed, people do not forget it. They store it. Then later, when he says he was always respectful, the audience is already thinking, were you? Because your face at the start of Casa Amor said something else. That is why Draco being visibly excited matters to me. It is not just a funny moment. It is the kind of thing that becomes evidence later. If he moves mad, people will say the signs were there from the beginning. If he somehow stays loyal, then maybe it becomes a fake-out and a surprise. Either way, that early energy is now part of his Casa Amor story, and that is what this twist does best. It takes tiny reactions and turns them into character statements. If I had to predict the emotional shape of what comes next, I think the first wave is going to be pure buzz. The boys will be feeding off the novelty, the girls will be feeling out which guys are most available, and everybody will be talking like they are just open to seeing where things go. Then the second wave will be sorting. That is when each girl's role becomes clearer. Passiona starts gravitating toward the guy most vulnerable to emotional chaos. Lemira starts circling the guy who thinks he can handle her and maybe absolutely cannot. Razielena finds the one who can match her energy. Pina Pina becomes the center of attention because her return instantly raises the stakes. And then comes the dangerous part. The moment when curiosity turns into comparison. That is always the real killer in Casa Amor. Once a boy starts comparing what he has with what is in front of him now, things get messy fast. He starts thinking in terms of excitement, chemistry, freshness, attention, challenge, and suddenly the relationship he was in yesterday starts looking less secure than it did before. Not because it changed, but because he changed the angle he is viewing it from. That is why this twist breaks so many couples. It introduces alternatives at the exact moment when comfort can start to feel ordinary. And once comfort starts feeling ordinary, temptation starts feeling meaningful. That is the trap. And the girls in this lineup each represent a different type of temptation. Passiona is emotional intensity. She makes the risk feel worth it. Lemira is challenge. She makes the game feel exciting. Razielena is through momentum. She makes a new connection feel more alive. Pina Pina is unfinished narrative. She makes the past feel unresolved and the future feel open again. That is such a strong setup because it means no boy is being tested in the same way. One might fold because he wants mess. One might fold because he likes the chase. One might fold because he feels more energized. One might fold because he thinks a second chance means something bigger. Different reasons, same disaster. And the audience is going to eat that up, because the beauty of Casa Amor is that it always forces people to reveal what kind of weakness they actually have. Not all disloyalty looks the same. Some people crack because they are flattered. Some crack because they are bored. Some crack because they love attention. Some crack because they convince themselves they are being honest. The show becomes fascinating when each person's excuse tells you exactly who they are. That is why this episode feels like the point where the season really becomes itself. Before this, there can still be uncertainty, still room for couples to hide inside the routine of the villa. After this, everybody has to show their hand. Even staying loyal becomes more meaningful after temptation is real. You cannot call a couple strong until they have had a real test. Casa Amor is that test. And this version of it already looks sharp. The names are memorable. The intros are clean. The girls are easy to read, but not one note. The boys are already shaky. The returnee is huge. The cliffhanger does exactly what it should do. It leaves the audience sitting in anticipation, already building theories, already choosing favorites, already worrying about who is about to embarrass themselves. And if I am being completely honest, I do not trust the boys at all right now. Not with this level of excitement, and definitely not with Pina Pina walking back in like the season owes her a second act. That is a recipe for chaos. So this is where I land on episode 20. This is not just a Casa Amor teaser. This is a warning that the comfortable version of the season is over. A warning that some of these so-called solid connections are about to look very fragile. A warning that at least one of these boys is going to expose himself in a way that changes how people see him. And a warning that the girls coming in are not background characters. They are not there to fill space. They are there to test, tempt, challenge, and possibly rewrite the whole story. Passiona feels like incoming emotional fire. Lemira feels like the sharpest player in the room. Razielena feels like instant chemistry waiting to happen. Pina Pina feels like the comeback that could steal the entire season. And that final question hangs over all of it. Whose head turns? Who stays loyal? That is the whole game now. Because once Casa Amor begins, it is not about what people promised before. It is about what they do when a better option, a bolder option, or a more exciting story walks through the door. That is when feelings get exposed. That is when loyalty gets measured. That is when fake confidence falls apart. That is when viewers stop listening to words and start trusting behavior. Episode 20 is the pressure chamber. And if this intro is any sign of what is coming next, somebody is about to crack, somebody is about to surprise everybody, and somebody is about to become the main character of the entire twist. Passiona for the drama, Lymira for the game, Raze Elena for the chemistry. Pina Pina is so hot because comeback stories like this do not enter quietly. This is where the season gets dangerous. The masks slip, gets louder than loyalty. And this is exactly the kind of episode that turns a good season into a chaos. Subscribe and like for next episode.